Okay, this session is now being recorded, and then we will now go back to sharing. I hope you guys can see the screen. So what is an employment contract? I know that I'm the one who has been doing all the talking. Does anybody want to rescue me? In your own understanding, what is an employment contract? You can unmute yourself and take the floor. Or you can put your hand up, but I don't think I'll be able to see that because the whole screen is grayed out when I'm sharing the screen. Let's see who is here. Do me, what, in your own words, what do you think an employment contract is? How about Nelly?
Hello.
Hi, Nelly.
Hi. I can say a contract is an agreement between an employer and an employee for an employee to consume work.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you, Nelly. Anyone with a different definition?
Hi, this is Shamin speaking.
Hi, Shamin.
What I can say is that a contract gives you terms and conditions of the work. Like what's how do I put it? The scope of your work, number one. Then what time you start work, are you entitled to any leave, the benefits, what do they call it, the remuneration and benefits. What else can I say?
Like basically
Yeah,
what's
that's it for now.
expected of you. Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
definitely.
it's what is expected of you at work. What time you start work, and when can they terminate the contract, and you are not supposed to go to work drunk and stuff.
Okay, all
That's
right.
what I can say in my own words.
Thank you, Charmaine. So
Thank you.
yes, like Charmaine and Nelly said, a contract is a legally binding document between the employer and the employee. It regulates the relationship between the employer and the employee to say, just like what Charmaine says, to say what time you have to come to work, what time do you leave, what time do you eat, what your benefits are. And then this document is the one that keeps these two people together, or this, like the respect and the loyalty together. It also contains an outline of the employee's role and responsibilities within the business, as well as the outline of their compensation and any benefits that they might receive. So you will find out that, like I was explaining previously, that the employer is the one that usually comes up with this document. So obviously in that contract, you will find that there is things that might make the employee happy, but in most cases, it is always in the best interest of the employer, because with employers, they do not want to lose, and also they want to make sure that they always gain something out of something. So they make it in a way, they can make it beautiful and give you the benefits and all that, but in the end, they are the ones that win. So it is very important that that document is clear, and that document is in a language that the employee understands. So let's say one day you are working, maybe you are an in-house legal practitioner, and then you deal with such, you will be tasked with the duties that you need to explain to these employees. If you are in HR, you need to explain to these employees what exactly that is expected of them, and also to explain to them in simple language that they can be able to understand, so that when they sign on that dotted line, they will be signing exactly what they know that they're signing up for. While an employment contract can be technically as simple as a handshake agreement, it is more common and advisable to create a written contract that you and an employee will both sign. This include, like, maybe in your household, you are hiring somebody maybe to look after your children or somebody to clean your house. It is very important that you have that employment contract to say, okay, I'm hiring A to come and clean the house, B, wash my clothes, C, iron my clothes. It is very important. But if it was a verbal agreement and you're like, hey, you're gonna come here and then you're gonna clean the house and iron and do this and do that, one day the person that you hired will be like, forget maybe ironing, and then be like, hey, why didn't you iron? And then they'll be like, but this is not what we agreed on. And then, but you had a verbal contract. Please, don't get me wrong, a verbal contract is still a contract and is still enforceable, but it is very difficult to prove, because it's always your word against the other person or their word against yours. So as much as you can make all the verbal agreements, it is important that you have a signed document which will serve as a reference in case any disputes arise. You'll be like, okay, here is what we agreed on. We said you're going to wash, you're going to cook, you're going to iron, you're going to take the kids to school and back, and so forth and so forth. It will save you a lot of time and a lot of trouble. And for basic contracts like that, it's easy for people to start disputing if it was verbal agreements. So in Charmaine's definition of what is included in a contract, she already included some of the things that are included here as well. So somebody asked me of a checklist. So your checklist should look like this. That is in the for the purposes of employment contract. If I'm not sure if that's what you are asking, but with regards to what is supposed to be included in the contract, there is no formula to say, okay, this has to be there definitely. It's entirely up to the person who is drafting the contract, or up to the requirements or the needs of the particular company that you are drafting that particular contract for. So the basic things that you will obviously expect to see in the contract is the names or the details of the contracting party. That will include, like, maybe your personal details, to say your name, your last name, very important, possibly ID number, the place where you stay, as well as maybe the place where you're going to be working, the responsibilities, like Charmaine said, what is expected of you. And then that should also include the conditions, like the conditions of employment, to say you don't touch this, you don't enter this place, here is your area, this is where you're working from, you do not cross this line. Those are the things that are supposed to be included in the employment contract. The responsibilities, they are very, very important, so that you know what to do. And that's why you get some people at work, when your employer asks you to do something, and then you think, and then you're like, oh, by the time I signed the contract, this was not part of my it was not part of my work. And then you can proudly say, no, this is not what we agreed on, so I am not doing this. If this means that I'm going to do this, then I will have to have my contract of employment amended to include this. And obviously, if more responsibilities come with more money or more wages. So a lot of people will be very reluctant to say, oh, now he's adding more responsibilities, I'll just do it anyway for the sake of me not losing my job. No, it doesn't work like that. bringing in more responsibilities, your wages need to increase. Even if your wages didn't increase, bring in more responsibilities, it should be noted that now your responsibilities are added in order for you to do this. The reason why these things need to be noted down, it's I'm not going to say that it's simple logic. There is always a lot of problems that arise at work. You might look past it at the time that they're asking you. Let's say you work at I don't know. Let's say maybe you work at the hospital. You are a nurse, and your responsibilities include giving the patients medicine. I don't know what nurses do at work. I know that they take care of patients, but let's say one of the duties that is not included in your employment contract is to maybe to bath the patient, and then your boss comes and be like, hey, the person that's supposed to bath our patients this morning is not in. Can you please take that patient to the bath and then bath them, you know? And then you know deep inside your heart that this thing is not part of your duties and responsibilities as per your contract of employment. And then now you take that patient to the bath, and then you are bathing them, and then something happens. Maybe you are done, and then they slip and fall and break an arm. And then when they're taking you for, because this will call for a disciplinary action or disciplinary hearing or an investigation as to find out what really happened. And then they found out that this was not even part of your duties and responsibilities. That's where your legal problems are going to come, because now you're going to have to answer as to why did you do what you were not supposed to do? Why were you there? Because you are legally not supposed to be there. You are not supposed to be doing that, but you were there because somebody else verbally asked you to do that. Even if that person is your superior, they didn't put it down, they didn't amend your contract. So you must just be very careful of the things that you do, especially when you say, oh, I'm just going to do this out of goodwill. That's where a lot of problem arise. Even like in a general workplace, maybe a cleaner didn't come, and they're like, oh, your cleaner didn't come, you might as well mop the office by yourself. If it does happen that you slip and fall and you were mopping and your job doesn't include you mopping the floor, they will dispute that. They might even say, no, we did not ask this employee to do that. So you must just be careful of those particular things. If your duties, responsibilities are outlined for you, those are your duties and responsibilities. If anything comes out all of a sudden, now you have to do this, it is your time to put your foot down and be like, hey, this is not part of what was in my agreement. If I'm going to do this, can it be recorded or amended so that I can do this knowingly that I am protected. So if you are maybe representing a client or something like that, you make it clear to your client when they come to you with a contract of employment and be like, hey, Tumi, can you please look at this contract for me? I just got a job, but I don't want to sign on the dotted line before I understand what this means. Then you might as well advise your client with these duties and responsibilities that are given to you. That is what you need to be doing. If anything arises out of the blue, it is time for you to come back and speak to me, or it is time to put your foot down and say, hey, I am not doing this until this has been amended. That also goes as well with the duration of employment. If it says 1 year, then it means 1 year. Sometimes when it says 1 year or 2 years, you will find that there is usually those clauses that are usually hidden to say, if your contract of employment is for 1 year, at least 30 days before or 60 days before your contract expires, you need to renew the contract. And most people don't pay attention to things like that. And then it will be 60 days, and then because you you want to renew this contract and you be like, oh no, I'll wait until the end of the year, and then I can speak to my boss because he's a nice person. And then you go there, and then your boss will be like, hey, we have already hired somebody, because when 60 days passed, because the contract says 60 days before you have to come and renew it, then you didn't, then we have already hired your replacement. So if you are representing somebody or advising somebody, those are the type of things that you need to look at, so that you know that your client is fully protected. That also goes with the schedule, the expected hours, days of the week that you work, the number of hours. We know that in most cases, like I explained with regards to the responsibilities, the hours that we are expected to work, sometimes you find that your contract says you have to work from 8 to 5. And then what happens is that your boss will be like, hey, do you want to stay a little bit for like 30 minutes or so that we can finish this thing that we've been working on? The answer to that is no. My contract needs to be amendment, so that I can be able to honor what you're asking of me. If it does happen that in your contract it says you are covered or you are insured between the hours of 8 to 5, or you are insured between the hours or the prescribed hours that you're supposed to be working, and then you are there at work 5:30 because he asked you to, and then something happens, you get injured, there's a fire in the building or something like that, and then you get injured in there, your contract will only have covered you between the hours of 8 to 5. So those are the things that a lot of people don't pay attention to, and not necessarily that they're ignorant, but because people like to do things out of goodwill, because they want to please their employers, because they don't want to lose their jobs. But when shit hits the fan, it turns out that you are at the risk of losing it all, because your employer will always refer you to the contract to say, this is what you signed. So you agreed that you're going to be at work for the following 30 minutes, and then you did, and then it happened, oopsie, you are not insured. So those are some of the most important things that if you are advising somebody, those are the things that you need to highlight on. So if your contract says 8 to 5, it's 8 to 5. Anything other than that, it has to be amended. It might make you sound like an unreasonable or ungrateful person, but in the end, you are trying to protect yourself from the unforeseen incidents or circumstances that may happen. So also the wages must be included. The benefits like the medical aid, pension benefits, the holidays, like Shaman said, it must also be included so that you know. And also sometimes they would say you get like 30 days paid leave annually, something like that. Those are the things that's supposed to be included, and they must be clear to the person that you're advising, or if it is you, it must be clear to you before you start working wherever you're working. So that was the what's supposed to be included in the contract. And then now let's talk about the independent contractor. So that was what we spoke about. It was the employment contract. So now we're talking about the independent contract. So an independent contractor, or the contract of service, it's something very different to the employment contract. So for example, the independent contractor doesn't work for that particular company. The independent contractor is usually a company on its own that provides services for a different company. So I said, for example, you have to think of a vendor, you think of a service provider, or a self-employed person, or a business. So an independent contractor is not bound by the contract of the company he or she provides the services for. So you think for example, I made the example of Pick and Pay. I said you have your own company. Your company is called ABC Cleaners. Looks like I'm using examples of cleaners today. ABC Cleaners is a cleaning company based in Randburg, and this company has been contracted to provide cleaning services for Pick n Pay. So please don't mind my spelling. I think this is PDF, so I can't fix it. Don't mind my spellings. The word's supposed to be aligned. So Pick n Pay will have its working hours and say our people work from 8 to 5. That is for the people that work for Pick n Pay. Pick n Pay does not create a contract and give to ABC Cleaners. ABC Cleaners is the one that is providing services to Pick n Pay. So ABC Cleaners will take their own contract, take it to Pick n Pay. So now, you see now the difference between a contract of employment and the independent contractor. So if you have a contract of employment, if you're employed in a company, you do not bring your own contract. But if you're an independent contractor, you bring your own contract because you're the one that is providing the services. So you have your own conditions, you bring your own contract. Even those employees that you're bringing in to Pick n Pay, the service, the working hours might even be different to Pick n Pay. Let's say, for example, Pick n Pay's working hours is between 8 and 5, and then your cleaners, they obviously when the shop, when Pick n Pay opens, the shop needs to be cleaned. So you'll find that your employees, they start a little bit earlier and they finish maybe later, or they finish early. Or sometimes you find that there is people that work overnight so that in the morning, everything is cleaned. So the conditions of the independent contractor comes with conditions, and the employers, like let's say, for example, now, one of your cleaners from ABC Cleaning Services misbehaves at Pick n Pay. Pick n Pay, whoever that person is, let's call that person, let's call them Peter for argument's sake. Peter is working for ABC Cleaners, and then ABC Cleaners places Peter at Pick n Pay. If Peter misbehaves at Pick n Pay, Pick n Pay does not fire Peter. If Pick n Pay wants to fire the company ABC Cleaners, they fire the entire company. Or if Pick n Pay doesn't want Peter to work there anymore, they can just say, we don't like this guy. Can you please replace him with somebody else? Any disciplinary actions or disciplinary hearing, they are not going to be a responsibility of Pick n Pay. There will be a responsibility of ABC Cleaners, because Pick n Pay reports to ABC Cleaners, and the contract that Pick n Pay signed, they signed it with ABC Cleaners. They didn't sign it with Peter. So I hope that is clear. So let's say, for example, another scenario is if Peter, so because Peter has a contract with ABC Cleaners, and then ABC Cleaners gave their contract to Pick n Pay. So Pick n Pay signed a contract with ABC Cleaners. And then you'll find that the policies and working conditions and everything is different between Pick n Pay and ABC Cleaners. So if Peter committed an offense that is a fireable offense to Pick n Pay, Pick n Pay can only tell ABC Cleaners what kind of offense or work offense that, I don't know if there's such work offense, that now they don't want Peter to work for them. But it might be a point where Peter committed that offense at Pick n Pay, and Pick n Pay sees it as an infringement or a fireable offense. But that offense that Peter committed at Pick n Pay is not a fireable offense. The words I'm using, fireable, it's not a fireable offense at ABC Cleaners. So Peter might still have his job at ABC Cleaners because Pick n Pay doesn't detect the roles for ABC cleaners. Is that clear? I don't know if my example is clear enough or it complicates anything. Is that understandable for you guys? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. It's understandable. So where was I? So Pick n Pay will not be able to discipline Peter because they don't have a contract with Peter. The only contract they have is with ABC Cleaner. So whatever grievances they have to take them to ABC Cleaners. They don't take it up with the employers. So okay, I summarized it there. I said, long story short, Pick n Pay is bound by the contracts of ABC Cleaners, and the cleaners sent to Pick n Pay work for ABC Cleaners, not for Pick n Pay. So if you are in any way under that situation, we see most of those with the agents that hire people. Maybe I think sometimes people that works for banks, sometimes you find that they don't work for the bank direct, but they work for a certain agent. I know that with waiters as well, that some waiters are not hired by the company that they're working for exactly, but they work for the agents. So there is some policies that they follow. Most of those policies will be policies from their company, and if ever there is any disciplinary actions, they are taken by the company, not by the actual restaurant or by the bank that they work for at that particular time. So I think we are done for today's session. So I would like you guys, does anyone have a question before we close this off? I know I've been talking a lot. Anybody wants to rescue me with a question, a comment, or anything? Hi guys, you guys make me to talk alone. Okay. So I would like you to do this for me. You will see the email address on the screen. So like I said, the origins of contract of employment is in your study guide. You can go and read it by yourself. The definition of the contract of employment, you can go and read it by yourself. So this is what I want you to do for me. I want you to answer these 3 questions. You can email the answers to me, or you can send them to my WhatsApp. So the email address is on the screen. And then how do you know if one is an independent contractor or an employee? What is the difference between the two? And what does a contract of employment typically include? So you will send that on the email, and then I'll have a look at it. And then if you have any questions, you can also post them there, because I don't know if you guys are shy or you just don't want to talk to me. Maybe that's why you don't say anything, but I think I'm the shyest of them all here. But anyway, does anyone have a question going once before I close? Okay, no. Yeah. Yes, who's speaking? I can't see because
it's Black here, no?
Oh yes, Black.
Yes. Now I would love to know now, when do you want these answers?
Let's
WhatsApp to you.
Let's make it Tuesday.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, let's make it by Tuesday.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Black. And for the purposes of progress and consultation, I think it will be best if I know who is attending and your progress, and if you have any questions. So I'll also request that on that same email, so that I can make some kind of like a register or something, so that I know if you have any questions, I know what questions you've asked previously, and then I know your progress. You can just send through your full name, the program you're studying, the modules you're attending on my sessions. If you can just put that in full, because sometimes I don't understand, like somebody posted, I think they said MAN 101, something like that. I am not sure what those codes mean. So if you can just put them in full, and also you can just throw in where you're attending from. Not really important, but you can just throw that in, and then you can put it on the email, and then, or you can just send it to my WhatsApp private, and I can just make that particular register. And that brings us to the end of today's session. We still have 8 minutes. So if you are still around, you can ask a question. Thank you, Nelly. You can still ask questions, or you can send those questions to me privately if you are shy to ask during the live sessions. And for the record, this session will be uploaded, both these sessions, they will be uploaded on YouTube. I'll either do it tonight or I'll do it tomorrow if you want to go back and listen. So either tonight or tomorrow, they will be up on YouTube. The link will be shared on the Facebook, not Facebook, sorry. The link will be shared on the WhatsApp group. And then also, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, I will ask you that you do subscribe so that you can get notifications. It might happen that tomorrow you are not available, or when we're having the next session, I'll let you guys know when we're having the next session. Like I said, we might have 2 again during this week. So if it happens that you're not available, then if you subscribe, you are able to get notifications to see if there is any new session that has been uploaded. Yes, Charmaine, you can go for it.
Sorry, I raised my hand by mistake, but thank you so much for this session.
Thank you, Charmaine. I hope that this session will be helpful to you guys. Like I said previously, I am also studying, and the more you guys ask questions, it refreshes my memory and it helps me to think critically and improve myself as well. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. If there are no further questions, please enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you guys during the week.
Thank you, T.
Thank you.
Good night to everyone.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you, sir.